Now, we've spoken about the triangle point. You may ask, is the triangle out there? No, it's not. Here are his 2 feet. Let me turn this way. His 2 feet form a line. Any line that intersects that line at a perpendicular angle is a breach of his stance integrity, hyperfunction. If this is his triangle point, that's where we need to take him, correct? Right, but we're collapsing him. So as this screws out, this comes down into the triangle point. That's why we have to look at the body not as this two-dimensional robot from conventional training, where to throw him, we have to move him whole bodily towards that point, or whole bodily towards the opposite point. We know now that all we need to do is remove his joints so he heads in a collapsed motion towards that third point, that third missing point in his balance. It's not just with our hands, with our shoulders. You can see the implications of using the rest of your body to manipulate him. Instead of this grandiose movement of trying to pull and lift, screw him. You know what I mean. Into the ground. Finally, knee bone attaches to the ankle bone. It's a joke. So down at the ankle has the same function. There's the triangle point. The ankle has a unique motion, just like the wrist, of inversion and eversion. It rotates in and back, as well as a slight circumduction. How many of us have overtread our ankle here? Right? Many, because of the weakness in our ankles, for many reasons in particular, but I won't soapbox on that right now. If we take our shoulder, just from here, look on, no hands, and rotate his ankle over, he's already started the elevation in his femoral joint, so his knee's headed while his rump is headed towards the triangle point. Nasty implications of that. Not just outside screw, but also inside screw. What are we doing over here? If it has this clockwise motion, it also has a counterclockwise motion. Now Ben's helping me by accentuating the motion. Look how the inversion and eversion of the ankle coordinate with this circular motion and the rotation of the femoral joint. If this is caused here, the pelvis directly across, this pelvic girdle, if we move the opposite direction, look what happens to the far leg. You see the implications? If this leg is attached to this leg, it's a subsystem of the entire system. If you manipulate this system through hyperfunction, there's going to be a reciprocal action in the opposite leg. So you're tight in and you rotate his opposite leg once the downfall. And the more he resists, the faster he flies. So collapsing inward causes the outward collapse. Collapsing outward causes the inward collapse. In a different series, we'll discuss how that implication affects the manipulation of submissions. But for now, work with your partner in seeing the full articulation of the lower body, because as we move on, this is going to have grand implications. When we went into our biomechanics workshop with the upper body, we discussed the infinity motion with the arm and the infinity motion with the spine. So we have this hourglass figure 8 with the solar and lunar plexus. We have it with the arms. We also have it with the legs. And the implications of this are far-reaching. First, I'll give you this angle. If you take a counterclockwise circle with your leg in front of your body, in the frontal plane, and then switch behind and do a clockwise circle. If you alternate between the two, this little oscillation will create a figure 8. Now this is a gross figure 8, meaning all I'm doing is bending at the pelvis to allow my leg to travel backwards. If we take the biomechanics workshop that we had just a second ago with Ben, we also see that we have this flexion and extension, the inversion, the eversion. We also have the articulations of our toes and the pelvis, the hourglass on the pelvis. So we have a highly articulate figure 8 in both directions. This forms the foundation for everything. Everything comes from your leg infinity, just like everything came from the arm infinity upward. All of the inertia came from the spinal infinity. All of your footwork derives from these two figure 8s, back and forth. Because from here, all of your leg fencing tactics derive. We're going to be going into leg fencing tactics in just a moment, but what I want you to see is the more articulate you become, the more we get back to that original statement, a great throw is less. If you do merely this motion and he's on the ground in a controlled position, your goal is obtained effortlessly.